ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Is It Worth the Gold video. Today we are looking at the M4A1 Rev. Not gonna pronounce the rest of that name because I'll make myself sound like an idiot. So instead of that, let's just go and talk about the armor. There's not really much to say. The tank is huge, that's the first thing you need to know. The second thing you need to know is that the hull is made out of folded toilet paper, which is almost enough to bounce, well, to not get bent by most HE frontally. So apart from the big hard hitters like the Japanese heavies like the KV2, HE pens don't really happen on this, unlike the CDC, which can be an important thing. The turret is slightly better than the hull, but still, like, you have a 63 armor and you can angle 63 armor in any way you want, and it still will be a pretty easy pen. Even in this ridiculous angle, as you can see, it still is a pen more than it is not. As you can see, like, only ricochet zone starts only here, so half of this turret, even though it's angled in a ridiculous way, is going to be a penetration. Anyways, the gun mantlet is like hit or miss. Some of it is decent, some of it is not. It's definitely not Russian because this tank is French. Today we learned. But yeah, you can bounce some shots, but you shouldn't really expect to bounce anything with this thing. And sides, back, and ass, obviously, it's French. You don't really expect anything here. And yeah, before we go to the actual game, the gun depression is 7 degrees all around, which is also not too bad. But the tank is huge, so it can become quite tricky. But that being said, let's get to the replay. So here's the game playing Tier 8, well, Tier 9 game. They have a Tier 9, we don't, because matchmaking. It's fantastic. But yeah, playing Fisherman's Bay, pretty decent matchmaking. Yes, this does not get preferential, but as always, let's look into some of the stats before too many things happen. So first of all, you get 1400 hit points, which is not a lot of our tank as big and as clunky as this. In comparison, the FCM50T gets 1500, the CDC gets 1400 as well. You do have slightly more armor than the CDC, but it's not really noticeable, so the lack of hit points is disturbing. Another thing we need to get out of the way is that this is the cheaper of the French premium tier 8s. It costs 7.2k gold, and I think you can buy it in just in Tech Tree now as well. And in comparison to 11.9k of the FCM50T and 7.4k of the CDC. Mobility wise, this tank is a big letdown. You have 460 horsepower engine in comparison to the 1200 of the CDC and 1k of the FCM50T. Power to weight 13 over the CDC 35 and FCM's 18. So power to weight on this tank is slightly better than on most heavy tanks, really. Terrain resistances are pretty good though, so it makes up for it in a bit at least. Track traverse 40 degrees per second, turret traverse 43, not too bad there at all. Top speed, forwards 40, backwards 16. And now let's see if the firepower can make up for the lack of mobility and the huge size of this thing. So first of all, you get a 105 gun with 390 damage and 200 penetration. Uses APCR standard ammo. You get 1828 base DPM, which in comparison to other tier 8 premiums is pretty damn bad. The rate of fire you can get down to around 11 point something seconds with a pretty good crew and the right equipment. Accuracy 0.36, aiming time 2.8 seconds. The good news is it sounds worse than it actually is, because the tank is slow as shit, and the accuracy and aiming time actually doesn't feel that bad, but you can notice that this gun needs to be aimed a bit if you want to constantly hit what you're shooting at. So as I said, the APCR is the stock ammo on this tank, and for those of you who don't know, APCR has a lot of downsides as well, not only the improved shell velocity. So first of all, APCR loses a lot of more penetration over range than AP, and the second thing is that it has less normalization angle than AP as well. But it definitely makes leading targets at range much easier with the improved shell velocity. Another good news is that the shell costs in this tank are 580 credits per shell instead of the 1k of the Russian 390 alpha damage guns, which obviously will improve your credit making potential. Last but not least, view range is 390 meters, which makes optics, together with vert stabs and rammer, the preferred equipment for this thing. Crew skill wise, it is a premium, so you shouldn't really deck out the crew for this and just use one of the other French medium crews you can get. The crew setup is pretty bad though for French mediums, as this does have a loader, and the higher tier French do not. So far in this game, we went for the early spot for the heavies going to the city. We did manage to get quite a bit of damage there, and after that we farmed the tiger that went full retard out there. We did get shot by this AMX-30 pretty badly though, and we can't really afford to take another hit unless we want to be a one-shot for him, and we definitely don't want to do that. So after getting the stats out of the way, what are the biggest strengths of this tank? Well, there only is really one, and it is the 390 alpha damage. I guess the 7-degree gun depression is not too bad either, so those are the two things you want to abuse in every game. You want to be trading shots, and you want to be hauled down and using your gun depression to hide this massive hull and not get shit on. So far the game is not really going our way. We are struggling to hold on to the city, and we're probably going to lose that, as we do have a lot of TDs camping base and some heavy tanks in the middle here doing not too much either. I do get to shoot the MX-30 once again, so we equal out our damage dealt to each other now. But yeah, the city is looking pretty dire, and I'll see if I can land this shot, but no, the IS has too much armor. The IS misses as well, so I'm not really too sad that I didn't aim that fully, because trading there would have been worse for me than it would be for him. But for this map on this spawn, the tactic is pretty damn simple. You just stay on the middle ridge and try to work as best as you can. You hope that your entire city is not going to evaporate really quickly. Well, this time it sadly did, so not too much we can do about that there. But we still have impacted the game in a pretty big way. We did quite a lot of damage there to the heavies going into the city, but it was just not enough with the camping lineup like this. And now we'll just try to feed on people that are trying to go around and flank, and hopefully we don't get shot in return, which doesn't seem to be happening anyways. To put some more nails into the coffin that is the M4, the engine is located frontally and has really low hit points, so it can get knocked out in one shot by pretty much anything, and since it is located frontally, that can be extremely fucking annoying. Now driving up this middle ridge, trying to pick a fight with somebody. The AT-15 on the one line isn't really my issue. My issue really is the MT-25 that could be sitting somewhere and trying to detect me from stealth, which would be extremely annoying for me. But I'm just trying to peek up here and spot something for our TDs to shoot at. In games with RD, it's usually better to be the aggressor than to just sit there, because if you just sit there, they're just gonna go over peek the ridges on you and just shit all over you. But now just seeing if I can get high enough to shoot this T-34. It is a bit dodgy, and I might get shot by somebody else for doing this, and anyways I can't even see him, so it doesn't really matter. But this is not too bad of an aggressive vantage point, especially if somebody peeks me. They're probably gonna get shit on by RTDs, and this is pretty lucky shot there. But as I said, the aiming time wasn't even that bad. For the fact that this thing has 2.8 second aiming time, you can't take shots like this every once in a while because of the decent soft stats of the turret traverse and shit. So it is not that bad, as I said, as the gun seemed. The 2.8 aiming time isn't really representing how good or bad aiming truly is. Pretty good 2 kills for our team there. Now we're in the lead. They still have the advantage of the tanks. The MT-25 can just proxy everything and just shit all over us, but as far as I'm concerned, my only play is really to sit here and do nothing for now. So I am going to skip like a minute of this game, because I literally sat here and did nothing and waited for the enemies to make a move. And here we are, the Stewart Mill pushed on, spotted the MT-25 on the other side of the bridge, so I know that guy is not my issue whatsoever. The AT-15 is still there somewhere though, so we might need to be careful. My main really thing I need to do here is cut off the escape route for the MT-25 if he tries to get away. I am loading HE here now because I could have killed both of these with HE. In case the Stewart Mill failed to get that kill, I wouldn't have to aim so much. And HE is fine for the light tank. It's not as good as AP because of obviously the shell velocity, but we should be able to nail the shot anyways. Now, I might sit here, but on the other hand, like if the empty really tried to get away, he probably would have been away already, and if he didn't, then it's just better to close the range and just shoot him right in the face. Then again, the Stirrer Mill is on my right and crossing this, so if the MP25 is in this corner, he's gonna probably get him, and I shouldn't really worry about that. So I'm going straight for the Ari now, and the Tiger 2 gets spotted in the city as well. And there's the MP25, and the Stirrer Mill just wrecks him on the move probably. So this game is pretty much over now. There's no real way they would come back into this at all, unless each of their RDs pick up a shotgun kill and don't get killed in return, but that is quite unlikely to say the least. Shooting HE at this RD doesn't actually make any sense, as we will find out later. The Russian RD is going to be a one-shot for me anyways, as it is only a tier 7 with no matter what kind of ammo I use, but the British RD has armor, because fuck you. But yeah, just main important thing here now is not to get shotgun, and you gotta love this design. You just really gotta love it. I mean, like, fuck do I know if the gun actually does damage, but I'm just going to something near the gun, so I would get the kill there in most cases. And now we can see the orange pen marker on the British RD, and we are sad panda face, and we do only 150 damage. We would not have been able to one-shot him with AP unless we rolled really high, but still we would have just done more damage. So it didn't really matter, but it definitely was a mistake to load HE there. It didn't do anything for me. I guess I could have low-rolled on the Russian RD and not kill him, so I guess it's a way to make sure, but I did pay for it. So one thing I gotta say right away is that this tank is only really good in these longer games, the dragged out games. This is a really bad cleanup tank. It's slow, it has bad DPM, so you're only good if the games are close and long. This is where this tank shines. It definitely can be better than the other French premiums in these kind of situations where you trade shots with low health targets and make use of your good alpha damage, but at the same time, in general, this tank just will perform worse. My gunner dies here. I try to repair him, and this shot was pretty poor. I could pen the Tiger 2's turret frontally, and I aimed for the roof for some reason. You cannot pen a Tiger 2's roof with a 105. 1.82 is enough for that, but not the 105. And for the rest of the game, I really have nothing better to do than just sit here and not feed the Tiger my kill. The Stirrer Mill can easily take the shot, and he's doing exactly that, so good play to that Stirrer Mill all throughout this entire game. He kind of cleaned the game up for us, and now I try to aim for the lower plate that I can see and fuck it up. And here's the end plate. Didn't take screenshots in game for some reason, but this will do anyways. 2091 experience earned with premium count, ace tanker, high caliber, when it ended up doing 4,701 damage with 2 kills and 1,394 base experience. Made 108k credits. Not actually too great considering that we did 4.7k damage, but it's not bad either. And now down to the big question. Is this tank worth the gold? And in my opinion, it is not. It is an extremely tough sell in comparison to the other French tier 8 premiums. You do have the advantage usually over them if you have the advantage of positioning and you're hull down and you can trade shots. You'll do probably better than in the CDC or the Panther 88 or the FCM, but at the same time, on average, this tank is too slow to get places. It is too big to not get shot in the face, and the gun is too unreliable to really do a lot of damage. So, in my opinion, the CDC is a better purchase. This 50T might not be a better purchase just because it costs so much more. The Panther 88 is probably... The Panther 88 is on level with this thing, so it's not a terrible purchase. I could see you buying this. I enjoyed playing my time with it as well, as I do enjoy tanks with derpy guns with a lot of alpha damage, but at the same time, the IS-3A is coming into the game. That is going to ruin the meta game of tier 8, and probably you'll be shooting at IS-3As for the most part of your life if you're going to be playing tier 8 soon enough, but we'll see about that. And if it is going to end up being the case, all tier 8 premiums are going to become much worse because the IS-3A is going to just be fucking bunkers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you on the next one.